Somewhere along the way, we started to believe that friendships had to be hard, that if we loved them, that we would carry them, and for the sake of being a good friend, that we would answer every call, that we would ignore the red flags, and really just never giving ourselves permission to say, this is too much. I know I'm not alone when I kind of just share this, that I've had conversations with friends in different seasons, and I would leave feeling drained, exhausted, and I would make up every excuse. I mean, I feel like it's an excuse now, but at the time, I really felt that I was being empathetic, that I was trying to see that they were going through something or they didn't mean anything by it, and never really taking into account what I needed, what I desired, and really just how I viewed relationships. And that justification and never really questioning things because I wanted to wear that honor and wear that badge of being a good friend, I went many seasons without being poured back into, without being nourished. I would just label titles as friends, but it really wasn't friends. If you have ever felt guilty for wanting more out of a friendship, I want you to hear me say this, that friendships aren't supposed to be hard. When you're going through friendships in middle, high school, college, it is a ecosystem where you're seeing each other all the time. You don't really have to plan things out. You'll bump into them in classes. You will bump into them in activities that you're doing. And so really taking the time to see when you're being supportive and when you're sacrificing yourself really doesn't happen for a lot of people. For myself, it didn't happen till post grad school when I started to get busy, when I started getting more responsibilities, and I really had to challenge this notion of, am I supporting them or am I sacrificing myself? And I think the really tricky part about it is that good people can still participate in unhealthy dynamics. That one was really hard for me because I considered myself a healthy person. I was in school being a therapist, studying, researching, all of that jazz. But I think because I did not truly understand the difference between support and sacrifice, I would interchange those two, not only in what I was accepting, but also what I was asking of others in relationships that I was in as well. When I was going back and forth about the difference between sacrifice and support, some of the different friendships that I've had over the years really started to come into head when I was journaling. And so I don't know if you can relate to this, but I'm gonna share some of these friendships that I've had that maybe can also just help you make that distinction for yourself. And so one of the friendships that you may have encountered is the friend who only calls when they need something. They're not checking up on you. You don't hear from them, and it almost becomes predictable when you see their name pop up or you see them calling. You're like, I know she needs something. Automatic. This is the one that I have often, too many times, found myself as the therapist friend, that I'm offering advice, I'm super engaged, I'm problem solving, I'm providing empathy, I'm providing support, I'm checking in. But then when I'm in a season of struggle or pain or sorrow, they're checking out. There's no intentionality. It doesn't feel like they're present in the conversations. It doesn't even feel like I'm an important person to them. And so those different dynamics can really leave you questioning yourself. Or maybe the friendship is built on obligation where it is time. You're like, man, I've known this person for X amount of time, so I might as well stick it through. Even though we don't talk that often, I can just deal with it. Or maybe you're like, I feel bad for leaving because they don't have anybody. So the real tie that you have to this friendship is obligation. It's not mutual care. It's not unconditional love. That support isn't there. You're actually sacrificing your needs and what you desire in a friendship because you feel obligated. And if any of this sounds familiar, it's not to make you feel bad. I don't want you to feel guilty. I want you to really start to identify, what are my needs in a relationship? Am I supporting where I'm being there and I'm showing up, or am I constantly sacrificing the things that I desire from this person that I want to be in community with, that I want to build with, whether it is a friendship that you've had for 6 months, 1 month, or even over years. But just understanding that will allow you to be able to understand where you might need boundaries, where you might need to have a conversation about what you're desiring in that relationships to see if it can be reshaped for it to be more of support and not just sacrifice. And I want to add that by no means is it 100% support and 100% sacrifice. It's ebbs and flows in different seasons, but if one is dominating, you might need to ask yourself, am I being supportive to this friendship, or am I just draining them? Am I just taking? And then also in the reverse, is this person only taking from me? In my personal relationships that I've been able to really build in these past years postgraduate is really just built on, I think, honesty, built on trust, and built on communication. Those things they talk about a lot in romantic relationships, but they don't really talk about the importance of them also being in girl friendships. If there is a struggle, if there is a bump in the road, if my feelings are hurt in the relationships that I have in my life right now, I know the support will be there if I need. And there's also space if I don't have it that day or if they don't have it that day. So it's important for you, to think about and just evaluate, am I being supportive? Or is this just built on sacrifice? As I was walking through the journey of understanding where the concept of friendships became hard, a lot of times in my sessions, people are asking, well, why did I stay? Why do I stay in these relationships that no longer serve me? And I think it's a really good question. It's a question that we should all ask ourselves, because it may be something from the past. It may be that you are getting something out of the friendship. It may not be everything that you want, but there is something there keeping you there. But the number one theme that I hear and that I also experience is that even when you leave and it feels necessary, it can still feel like a betrayal. Sometimes we tell ourselves that real friends don't leave. We also sometimes convince ourselves that we are the problem, that it's something that we can fix to salvage and make the relationship better. But deep down, I think that a lot of us just fear if we let go of this relationship, even if it is draining us, that we'll be alone. But I want you to hear me very clearly. There is nothing disloyal about wanting a mutual friendship. Being loyal doesn't mean accepting mistreatment or ignoring red flags or feeling like you're not good enough or being nitpicked because of things or choices that you're making, but it's about choosing people who choose you. And on any given day, that is just something beautiful. I think that that's why people say, man, I'd rather be alone than be surrounded by enemies. A couple years ago, I had to step away from a friendship of over 10 years, and it happened because I paid attention to how they responded over the past, majority of the relationship. There were no arguments. We showed up for each other in different ways. We went through different seasons of struggles and pain with each other, but I was entering into a new chapter into my life with a big move, with my kids going to school instead of homeschooling and different activities. And so the sacrifices that I could make in my 20s before, I could no longer make those same sacrifices in this chapter. And so the support looked different for her. And so that was something that she couldn't adjust to. It was something that she was upset about. It was something that was putting pressure on me to constantly show up in ways that I was unable to. And so when the sacrifice became too much for me, a conversation was had. And in that conversation, those things that I talked about with dismissiveness and defensiveness started to occur. And after it happened for a while, I said, man, friendships should not have to be this hard. It should be something that you have resistance, that you have ups and downs, that you work through different ways. But hard, that's not a word that I want to associate with someone that I'm doing life with, that I have a choice to do life with. So when you're thinking about the friendships that you have in your life, I want you to know that a healthy friendship makes room for each other. So as I've said, I've had to let go of different friendships in different seasons. I've also been on the other side of being let go of in different seasons. And so I think it's about learning and really just truly understanding what are your desires, what are your needs in friendships, so that you can be aligned with the people that you are forming them with, so that you're not creating more wounds or creating unalignment in your life, especially when you're going through different chapters. So if no one has told you this before, friendship should feel like safety, like exhaling, like being seen and not having to fight for basic care. Some of the characteristics in some of my friendships that I just love and hold dear, I'm even smiling thinking about those people, is that they celebrate you instead of feeling like it's threatening to their self-esteem or their self-worth. Friends who check in with you without you having to hunt them down. Me and my best friend have a 3-day rule. We're like, if it goes 3 days and you don't answer my text or my call, I'm coming for you, because checking in and being present and keeping that tether in the friendship is very important. And I know this one is rare, but oh, it just feels so good. And that is friends who pour into you as much as you pour into them. Now, I want to make sure I clarify this. It doesn't mean it's happening at the same time. Might be in one season, you're pouring into them in one way and they're pouring into you in another way. Myself, I have really gotten back into my love of hobbies. And so randomly, my best friend will just send me events, workshops, craft workshops. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so seen. Don't want you to think that it is flights, making it out the group chat with, going on vacations. You can still pour into each other on a daily, on a weekly basis. Now, me and my friends do make it out the group chat. I love that for us, but I want you to know that pouring into people can look differently, especially when you're seeing that person and what they're needing in that season. And most importantly, friendships don't feel like you're walking on eggshells. It's not you minimizing your emotions or feeling super regulated. And no, it's about you still being able to express your emotions, but you're growing together, you're healing together, you're celebrating together. And so it shouldn't feel like something where you don't know if they're gonna be there the next day or if you're able to say something, in a friendship where it's built on respect and love. If you've been sitting with what I've been sharing and you're starting to realize that some of the friendships that you have are not healthy, you may be thinking to yourself, how do I walk away? And that is a really difficult one, because as I shared, a lot of times we feel like it's a betrayal, but I want you to know that walking away, choosing to walk away from a friendship doesn't make you a bad friend. It actually makes you a good one to yourself, which is so important, because that also impacts how you show up for yourself and how you show up in other places and other environments in your life that need you, that need the best version of you. Some friendships aren't meant to last forever. They're meant to teach you lessons. They're meant to help you grow. I want you to have self-respect for yourself, self-love, self-worth, where you're able to choose differently for yourself, where you're able to choose more. That's a beautiful thing. It's not something to feel guilty about. It's not something to attach betrayal to. It's something to attach love. And self-love is a very powerful thing that I think that we all should experience and continue to build as we grow and as we heal in life. And if you've been accepting relationships that are draining as normal, I want you to give yourself permission to stop. Friendships should restore you and not deplete you. And if you want to walk this journey and you want a little bit more support, in the description box below, you can find my boundary cheat sheet as well as some journaling resources to help you along the way. And before you go, I want you to check out these videos right here. I do believe that they will be supportive to you on your journey. Also, let me know down in the comments below, what is one non-negotiable you're going to be setting in your friendships moving forward. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and make sure you choose your friends wisely. Bye.